Good morning, everyone. I'm so pleased to see such a great full room here this morning. My name is Julie Colehour, and I am the board chair of Washington Conservation Voters, and I am really honored to welcome you all here this morning. This is actually the 25th anniversary of the WCV breakfast. The first breakfast 25 years ago was called Wake Up for the Environment and happened back in 1992. I've heard that some people actually showed up for that breakfast in their pajamas. So I think we've come a long way, and I also know there are some people in the room here today who were actually at that first breakfast 25 years ago. So thank you so much for sticking with us all these years. Today, WCV is working to ensure that all people in Washington have clean air, clean water, and a sustainable economy, and we are really proud of the work we're doing in this regard. We do that by electing and supporting officials and then holding them accountable to our environmental values that we all share in this state. As board chair, I'm really proud of some of our key accomplishments. These include, together, working with the Washington Environmental Council to establish the Environmental Priorities Coalition. So those of you who don't know what that is, that coalition basically works together to pick issues and provide a unified voice in Olympia. And that has really helped us get a lot of environmental progress in this state. We've also built an unstoppable grassroots force. Each week, WCV has people out there knocking on doors, doing phone banks, making calls. That is how true change happens in politics. And we keep score. I don't know how many of you have seen our political scorecard, but this helps voters know how their elected officials are doing on environmental issues, both good and bad. We've literally endorsed thousands of candidates. We've interviewed thousands of candidates from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket. And our endorsement has become well revered and sought after. We're also using data, more and more data these days, so we can very strategically figure out how to get to the right voters to influence races. And then lastly, we win. So 84% of our endorsed candidates have won over the past 3 years. That's a huge number, 84%. Super proud to be part of an organization with such an impressive win rate. So even more importantly, once these elected officials are in office, they are doing great things for the environment. And many of these officials are here with us today, so I'm going to recognize officials and candidates here. So I first want to recognize our federal and state leaders that are here. So as I call your name, can you please stand up, and then the audience, if you could hold your applause till the end, that would be great. So here in the room today, we have Congressman Derek Kilmer. Oh. We have Congresswoman Susan DeBene. Yay. We have our guest speaker, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. Yay. Washington Supreme Court Justice Cheryl McLeod. Washington Supreme Court Justice Mary Yu. Attorney General Bob Ferguson. We have our Commissioner of Public Lands, Hillary Franz. Senate Minority Leader, Sharon Nelson. King County Executive, Dow Constantine. And then in addition, we're joined by the staff of Governor Inslee's office and Congressman Adam Smith's office. So another big round for all those elected officials. So we also actually have many more elected officials than that in the room today, so 50 or more counting. So I'd like all the other elected officials to please stand up so we could recognize them. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Tacoma City Council member Ryan Mello, who you'll be hearing for later this morning. Where is Ryan? here. Over there, yay. Thank you, Ryan. All right, so I also think it's really important that we recognize all the candidates in the room. It is really hard to run for office, right? Everyone probably knows that, and we really appreciate the time and energy that candidates put in to their races. So if you're a candidate, can you please stand and join me in giving them a big round of applause. And this room is full today because of all the table captains and hosts. So thank you to our table captains and our hosts who made this possible. We also couldn't reach our goals of this breakfast without our sponsors. So I want to especially give a call out to Vulcan, who is our lead sponsor this year. Together, we are working on tackling really, really important problems like climate change and protecting our marine environment. So both WCV and Vulcan know that if we create innovative, smart programs here locally and at the state level, Washington can lead the nation and even the world in tackling some of these really hard environmental problems. And so we're really proud to have them on board as our lead sponsor. And then I'd also like to welcome back two of our sponsors. We have Puget Sound Pilots and Recology this year. The pilots are the first line of defense on our waters, making sure vessels move safely through Puget Sound, which is so important to our region. And Recology is working towards a zero-waste future for our region. Each year, they recover over 600 million pounds of recyclables and find new uses for them. And then lastly, on the sponsor front, I'd like to welcome Phone to Action, who's a new sponsor this year, and give a call out to BNY Mellon for stepping up and increasing their support. So the food, everything here is possible because of our sponsors. So as you leave this breakfast today and someone asks you, who is WCV? There's a couple things I want you to remember. We believe strongly that who we elect to public office truly matters, and that Washington's environment deserves a strong voice in the political process. And that's really what WCV is here to do. A little bit of effort has a big, big impact in those two areas. So because of all of your support of everyone here today, WCV is that voice. So now I'd like to hand it over to Joan Crooks. Joan is a longtime leader in the environmental community here in Washington State, and we're very proud to have her as the CEO of Washington Conservation Voters and the Washington Environmental Council. Through her strategic leadership, she's really deepened the power base of these two organizations and is allowing us to do the amazing work we get to do. So please join me in welcoming Joan to the stage.